Hey, Shalom Akim, Yahweh Bashim, Yahushai Bashim, Kwakadash, of honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Stone Rule Well. Alright, I come out there. Yeah, so you see, Esau, man, Esau has a never ending desire to get people to tap in to his so called financial agenda, his so called model of his economic model. Just keep it simple, because the word economics goes back to the word household management, and that's what Esau wants to be. He wants to be the ultimate household manager, managing the households, of all the people on the face of the earth. All right, he wants to have that godlike status, and this so-called green light debit card for kids is just an example, right, of what Esau's trying to do. I'm just gonna make this a quick commentary and I get a quick precept, man. All right, and then you just have to understand that Esau is really desperate, to control families. He doesn't really, he could destroy families, just like he destroyed the families of Jake, you know. But at the same time, he realizes that, it's much more better if he can control people's minds. And that's exactly what he's been doing, you know. And the Lord Yahweh Shimashai is really exposing Esau, And I'm going to get a quick precept here. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. All right. You know what? I'm going to start a little bit. Just keep it simple. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So when Esau is able to get to the children are gonna whine and cry to the mother, they want this, they want that. Because when you watch the video for this green light, debit card, shows you that parents have to, you know, put a setting in place on the app. So anytime the child goes to the store and wants to buy something, you gotta send a picture of it, see if they approve it and the price. If they approve it, it means the child could get it. So it's like gotta tap into that so-called age of coming into independence. Because these teenagers, man, they want to do certain things without their parents being there. They want their space. So Esau wants to be there. That's the reason why he's tracking, people's financial habits, their spending habits. So once he's able to tap in to what is so-called teenagers like, what is children like, then he could adjust, his approach, by getting down with this so-called branding corporation, these people that develop products, and make them, attractive to people and all that stuff. Tap into people's psychology and give people what they want rather than what they need. All right. So 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11 says, "Lest Satan, the adversary, should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." All right. Just like the serpent, came to Eve. That's exactly what Esau is doing. You know, he wants, God to Eve just because he wanted to take over Adam. And that's how Esau is, man. He goes after the weaker vessels. He goes to the children went to the mom went to the dad gives in. All of a sudden, the man becomes weak. The man's hands are tied according to the law of this land. All it takes is just a false report, and the child could say, "Well, my dad's not treating me well." That we need to be emancipated and all that stuff. They're not getting enough allowance. So the dad becomes scared, the mom becomes scared. So whatever the child wants, they give the child, extra money, to see the children and all the teenagers in school, wearing fresh sneakers, fresh pants, fresh this, fresh that. How peer pressure is, and that's what Esau will take advantage of. That's why the Lord Abashima Shai wonders. You know, let me get that precept real quick. Yeah, it's gonna be in the New Testament. Let me just get that correct. So this is the book of First Timothy chapter 6 verse 6. It says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world." Alright, that's a lesson we should be teaching our children. For the Akim that have children, they have a household. Shouldn't shy away from bringing the gospel, to them. Just gotta be slick with it. All right. First Timothy chapter 6 verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. Folks gotta learn how to live, within their means, even below their means. All right, and let the Lord the Abashim and Shai supply your needs that you are expecting. Verse 7 says, "For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out of it." All right, we can carry nothing out. So once a man is able to share this message with his family members and the teenagers, they understand the value of the words of the Lord, and they don't become consumers. All right. So it's hard, man. It's hard to live in this society here about Macy's closing down stores and laying off workers. Yeah, because the company wants to make a profit. The board of directors, the shareholders, they want a profit, so they're gonna do what they can. All right. They want things to go online, and it's gonna minimize the number of box stores or outlets that they have. All right. In verse 8 now it says, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. All right. So just make sure pray Lord that Bashima Shai gives you the courage to persevere and not give in to the demands and all this whining and crying of these so-called teenagers and your women, man. All right, because it's tough, man. We're going through difficult times, so we gotta learn to trim our lamps so we don't get burnt out. All right, gotta tighten up, okay? Because these are tough times to live in. So that's the point that I can, because Esau's just gonna, I say, entice his children to go and get the chip. They could go get the chip behind their parents' back without them knowing. Because they could buy this shit online, buy the chip online. And all the students, these kids already know how to do shit on their so-called smartphone, So all they gotta do is after school, they go to their friend's place, they order the chips, might go the beast, and they start injecting themselves with it, They say, oh, so it's cool and all that stuff. So that's how it is, man. A lot of these teenagers are gonna get it, the microchip, without their parents knowing it. So this is just the beginning of it, right? So that's the point that I came hoping edified. Shalom.